In the tunnel.
In the tunnel.
In the tunnel. You're listening to In the Tunnel.
Hello and welcome to In the Tunnel, episode 90. Uh yeah, we
Made it.
are back, I
We
guess.
made it here, and this is the weirdest show to be like. We always think, we never think that we're like going to be on these hiatuses, and then life just completely kicks our asses. And then we kind of forget about the podcast, and we're like, say, hey, we should probably, get back into this. And then we text each other about like how we should get it back into a rhythm and like not let it happen again, only to let it happen again like a week and a half later.
Not like one episode later.
Yeah, not even.
All right, so let's just recap some sports and look at what's happened in some of the offseason so far. Uh so for the NHL, we had Tampa Bay and Montreal in the Stanley Cup. No surprise, Tampa Bay.
I
Uh
thought you were gonna say no surprise for that matchup. I was gonna say
No,
very
that
much
complete
not.
surprise for that matchup. Okay,
Yeah.
Tampa Bay is not the surprise there. Montreal is.
Well, I get that Montreal is building something outside of whatever, because Carey Price being 34, they're trying to build around him while they can.
But
Because his effective years are coming downwards instead of
I
going
mean,
upward.
my problem with that Carey Price situation is the fact that he's 10 million of their $80 million cap.
I mean, I don't know that you're going like if they traded him. I don't know that you're going to get suitors without having to give up some draft
No, no,
capital.
no, no. Like I get it. He's there because nobody's gonna take on that contract with the amount of time that's left. I get
He's
it.
also there because he can continue to stand on his head when he actually needs to.
Yeah, but
He
the
still
problem
has
is,
years where he can't.
but the
Like,
problem is, like, it, even if he stands on his head, like there's no way Montreal should have gotten this far, right? They don't have
oh yeah, nowhere near that far.
anything aside from Carey Price in this
Nowhere
playoff
near
team.
that far. I think the more surprising thing in the playoffs was how they kept beating Vegas.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody was prepared for the fact that when Vegas punched, Montreal had an answer
yeah,
every time.
every time.
And like, I don't know, I wasn't even like paying that close of attention to the NHL playoffs this season,
Well, yeah,
but um, but Montreal always for some reason, seemingly in the series, had momentum up until the finals.
yeah. But
They
the thing is, like, even if you go back and watch some of those games, I literally just look at it like the Canada series, like the fact that they were playing each other for 2 rounds. Some of those games, I'm like, what the heck am I looking at? It looks like a completely different game,
Yeah,
and
yeah, it did.
it. I mean, it showed in the finals, but I was so surprised that when Montreal finally faced a non-Canada team, they did to Vegas what they did. But they couldn't keep
Yeah,
it against Tampa Bay. Tampa
mm,
Bay was just too many threats.
yeah. That's the thing about an up and coming team like Montreal. Again, kind of up and coming. I should clarify against a team like Tampa Bay, where all those guys have been there. All those guys know what their roles are
Yep.
and what they are.
Yep.
And Montreal's got guys that may pan out or may not, but nobody knows.
Yeah.
And those guys don't know what they're going to be yet, and the organization doesn't know what they're going to be yet. Aside from Cole Caulfield, nobody knows what anybody else on Montreal is actually going to be. And don't see them running it back next year.
No.
A, because of the East. B, because their defensive anchor and Shea Weber is going to be out next year. And C, because Carey Price is going to be a year older.
But also, to be fair, I don't think that Shea Weber being out makes up that big of a difference.
I don't know, man. Leadership in the locker room means a lot in hockey.
Yeah, okay, I kind of get it, but like at the same time, Shea Weber is not the player he used to be.
David Weber, in his whole entire tenure in Montreal, wasn't the player he used to be.
Yeah.
Like, everybody thought that trade was bad for both sides, and it really was
Oh,
bad for both
oh
sides.
yeah.
That was like both these guys maybe need. Actually, no. Subban was still kind of riding high when he left Montreal.
I think he had like 1 or 2 good years, but that's about it.
Yeah, but yeah, Shea Weber kind of fell off of a cliff.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, um, I don't know. Tampa Bay repeats. There's a lot of,
Not surprised.
you know, yeah, not surprising, but there's a lot of controversy to it because of the Kucherov and the cap hit and how he just missed the season, and then how all of his money doesn't count against the cap in the postseason.
Oh,
So he
oh
just
yeah.
kind of got to play.
Okay,
So
yeah, I kind of get it, but you know, like,
I kind of get it too, but like in the NBA, I know that everybody that people hate comparing NBA to NHL. But in the NBA, an owner can just pay the luxury tax and be like on his merry way. You could, in theory, pay $1 billion more,
yeah, but
for
like,
your salary cap, and then just pay
I
the luxury tax.
I like the hard cap,
I do too.
but
Um,
the way that like,
it doesn't mean anything anymore if you're going to exploit it, though.
yeah,
If
I
you give
agree.
if you give a door for somebody to go through and say don't go through that door, eventually somebody's
Somebody's
going to
gonna,
go through that
yeah,
door. It's all the Pandora's box thing.
yep. Yeah, I mean, anyway, like I think like the Stanley Cup Finals were not that exciting. I think Tampa Bay just kind of like ran away with it, but overall, I think the playoffs was pretty a pretty good series most of the
Hmm.
time. I think
Yeah,
you
I
exclude
have to,
Colorado,
I,
St. Louis, and Tampa Bay, Montreal.
and yeah, I'd exclude the Penguins part just because
Oh, I'm not a
God
Penguins
was
fan, so I could watch it.
well, God was the goaltending awful.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah,
like it was like old Flurry back there. It was not good.
yeah. It was not good. All right, on to off-season news. So yeah, so a couple things we jotted down for before the draft, which happened, the expansion draft, which happened earlier this week.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. So we had that the Penguins did trade Jared McCann to the Leafs,
yeah,
and Duncan Keith goes to the Oilers, and the Oilers constant,
I
threatening of themselves,
I
like
don't get
the
this.
pressure that comes from nowhere for them to do something stupid like this and feel like
I really
backs
don't
against
get
the
this.
wall unless we get Duncan Keith and then we give up Caleb Jones and a pick. And then Chicago absolutely wins the trade by not having to keep a 34-year-old defenseman on
Yeah,
the
like
roster.
I really don't get this move
Well,
for the Oilers.
according to a lot of resources, Caleb Jones is already kind of like better than where Duncan Keith currently is anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I just don't get what they're doing. If they're trying to bring in a leader, you can probably get a leader in free agency. I don't know why they felt the need to go this route.
yeah,
But then, was it Nick Leddy's going to Detroit and Richard Panik is going to the Islanders?
fine.
I don't know. The Islanders got plenty of defensemen. I don't think Richard Panik's going to bring a lot of second or third line scoring.
But I don't think that that's bad.
It's not bad if he. I mean, the
If you,
Islanders don't really need
especially
scorers
if you
because of
compare
their.
it to Duncan Keith going to the Oilers.
Well, the Islanders also don't need scorers in terms of how they play the game.
Yeah.
Because they were one of the innovators to bring back the more physical play.
Yeah. But
And
the thing is the Islanders also had the like finesse players.
yeah.
So it was kind of
Um,
like their dynamic as a team is kind of in a weird spot right now.
yeah, it is, but nothing is as weird as what's going on in Philadelphia, where Ryan Ellis goes from Nashville to Philly,
They
but
trade
then
Patrick.
Nolan Patrick, their second overall pick from like 4 years ago, has already been given up on.
Yep. Go to Vegas.
And then he's going to go to Vegas, probably have a good future because of the pieces he's going to be around there because they're contenders set up to,
Yeah.
succeed. And then what was it Philip Myers and Cody Glass are going to Nashville. Nashville is in a weird spot because they leave.
I mean,
They left Duchesne exposed during the expansion draft, but we get why
yeah, like
because he was on a huge contract.
yeah.
But like they're in that weird spot where I feel like they would have been okay with getting rid of pretty much anybody.
But the thing is, right? Like Nashville's defense has always been like good, right? So like getting like a Cody Glass for like they're more the forward players, right? Obviously, and that's the like pit like downfall of Nashville, right? Is always their
Right.
forward line.
Yeah.
So this is fine.
Yeah, it
Like,
is. I mean, it's fine if you're going to continue to play the way that has not worked for you.
but I
Like
don't think
it's
the
regular
way they
season.
play is the problem because they do have some success with
Well,
it.
it's regular season fine. It's
Yeah,
postseason not.
yeah, but I mean, you got to do good enough in the regular season to get to the postseason.
This is true. This is unfortunately true.
Yeah,
Um, and then we have Barclay Goodrow. He went from Tampa Bay to the Rangers. A lot of these moves were to try to get assets back before the Seattle
yep.
Kraken expansion draft, and then Goodrow just got extended by the Rangers for I think 3.6 AAV,
Hmm.
3.6 mil a year for like 4 years or something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't remember. And then Brett Howden went to Vegas. Vegas actually ended up probably acquiring the most, headline worthy talent before this draft started. Ryan Graves went to the Devils. I don't know what you make of that as a Devils fan.
Not really anything.
I
The team
mean,
still sucks.
he's a forward, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
We don't
Well,
really. It doesn't really matter.
and that says something when you don't know.
I didn't even look at the like. I I will look at the team in like 3 weeks
All right.
or
And then finishing up trades, Andrew Ladd continues his carousel of being traded, this time to Arizona, and he's going to be going with 3 picks for some reason.
dude. Nobody wants.
It's such a weird market right before an expansion draft because you basically are trying to sell players
Yeah.
instead of trade them. Um, then the rumors we know is that Fleury might be the odd man out. We didn't know, how it was going to go protection wise for the draft, but allocating as much of the cap as they're going to between Leonard and Fleury is probably not ideal. Now we see some of the moves that Vegas has made, and
I mean,
this is all before free agency.
yeah. So that's a possibility. I like Florida giving like if Florida does give Duclair an extension, I think that's a
They
fine
did.
thing.
They did.
Oh,
No, they did.
they actually did. Okay.
Yeah, they did. 3-year extension.
Yeah.
That one was weird to me because I don't know, like for the longest time he was untapped potential.
I think
And
he was
then
wasted potential in Chicago, right?
I'd say he was wasted in like potential in New York. in
I think he was
Phoenix.
so I think he was more untapped there, where he finally got out of the crap storm that was Chicago.
Yeah, but New York, Phoenix, Columbus,
Yeah.
like he has been around, and he's probably in his mid-20s, probably
Yeah.
around 25 or something.
Mm-hmm.
But like this is maybe it for him.
Yeah.
If this doesn't go well, he's not getting back.
Yeah. I agree. What do you think of
Um,
Carlo extension?
this was weird because I get the Bruins play physical, and I get they play a more defensive oriented system, kind of like the Islanders, like we said. But 4.1 million over 6 years for a
Yeah.
second or third pairing is no.
I mean, I'd only do that if he was your main power play guy.
And he's not. I
I
mean,
said,
McAvoy.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, what I'm saying is, like, if I'm giving 4 million to a second pairing defenseman, they better be playing the power play also.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like he'll be fine on that second unit, and like sometimes he'll get like a full minute on that second unit. And other times he'll
Yeah.
be, sniffing less than 30 seconds on the
Yeah.
second unit. So I don't know. It doesn't seem to bode too well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on.
All right, Seth Jones.
All right, so now we know from today that not only was Seth Jones on the block, he got
He.
traded. This
Yep.
is a post Kraken draft move.
Yep.
He was traded to the Blackhawks
Mm-hmm.
and immediately given a 7-year, $9.5 million average
Extension
yeah,
for
for the
whatever
future.
reason.
So he'll be the next Duncan Keith contract.
Yep.
Because
It's
he'll be a
always
future.
needed.
He'll probably be a future Oiler too.
Okay. Hiskinen, 8 years, almost 8.5 million. I
That
don't.
one I don't get how high that they
I think it's a
reached
little
on that one.
high, but I don't think it's like out of
I
left
mean,
field. I
yeah,
think Seth Jones getting
7.
9 some million is more out of left field than that.
I'd say 7 probably was like the top that I would go for a single defenseman in Dallas. Because
Yeah,
Dallas
I was
is
thinking
not
like
a defenseman oriented system.
I was thinking it's like a million over.
Yeah.
All right.
Alex Edler, our previously owned fantasy hockey player from back when we actually covered that in this podcast.
Before
The
the season
Canucks,
went kaput.
yeah, the Canucks were. Hey, we didn't lose in the playoffs
Yep.
because there was no fantasy playoffs.
Yep.
But we were like in position to be what, third or fourth.
Yeah.
The Canucks are going to let him walk, test free agency. Not to
Fine.
say that they won't bring him back, but.
That's fine. Whatever.
And then Vladimir Tarasenko was to be exposed in the draft. And I
That.
think they really wanted somebody to take him
Yeah.
because, yeah, I don't know. He clearly doesn't want to be in St. Louis anymore, which is a weird thing to say about being with an organization that won the cup 3 years ago.
Uh-huh.
But it's kind of clear by the moves that they've made that they really don't anticipate being back.
Uh-huh.
Like, a lot of their pieces are like,
But okay, so
maybe they've stabilized
I
some, but have left a lot of questions.
I think that the team as they were should not have
Mhm.
made the playoffs
Yeah,
this year.
I would say that too.
It was a fluke.
Yes, I would say that too.
So I'm not surprised that Tarasenko. It was literally like Tarasenko is the whole team, and that's kind of a problem.
Well, Tarasenko was the whole team before they made the cup run.
I know, which is also a problem.
I remember when we were in college, he was the whole team then
Yep.
in 2015, 2016.
All right. Other things. Wild finally buy out Parise and Suter.
Yeah, and they had
I
4
think it's
years
like
left on their
3-4
contract.
years too late.
But the spin zone on that is also 3 or 4 years too early because there's 4 years left on both their contracts.
Yeah,
Just
Yandel's out of
really
Florida. Not surprised. And 2 NMC waivers. Also, not really surprised.
Yeah, and neither of those guys we find out were taken in the expansion draft. That one was a little bit interesting because, and we'll get into this in a second. Ben Bishop probably would have been a decent upgrade for Seattle, but I don't know the
His
financial terms
contract
of his
is
contract.
high, isn't it?
We can look that up.
I was pretty sure his contract, it wasn't like so bad, but I thought it was on the higher end.
Ben Bishop's contract, 6 years, 29.5
6
million.
years, 30 million, 5 million AAV. That's not too bad.
Not too bad, but he is 34.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, on the Kraken draft that we want to talk about here, want to go through the forwards first?
Actually, I'll say this about the Bishop contract. Most of what he's owed is behind. Like, has already happened.
Yeah, but it's
He
AAV,
would have
right?
had a, yeah, but no, it's not. It's split up so that all the money that like, most of it's already been paid.
Yeah.
His signing bonus would have been 2.5 million, and his incentive and cap hit would have been 1 million this year.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah. But still, like, we'll go through this.
3.5 is nothing for him.
Anyway, let's go through some of the forwards.
Sure.
Because we don't have many high opinions on most of them, right?
No, sir.
So, Tyler Pitlick, they picked from the Coyotes. They immediately flipped him.
Well, yeah, they flipped them the next day because, unlike Vegas's draft, they decided that you couldn't do side trades, which, once I found out about that, immediately ruined, like, my interest for watching the draft, because I was purely only going to tune into that selection show to see the side deals.
Yeah,
The,
I wish
the,
they like.
the
I
trade
kind of
bait
get it.
deals that were made with the Vegas draft were so enticing.
Also, it made Vegas that much of a contender
Yeah,
that first year.
which it's such a bummer too, because we find out that Seattle's only made the one deal.
Yeah,
Vegas made like 20 of them.
yeah, like every team almost.
Yeah. So,
All right. So
that kind
anyway,
of ruined it
Pitlick
for me.
gone. They got a 4th round pick. Morgan, like Geeky,
Geeky.
Geeky.
I'm going off the ESPN pronunciation of these from like NBA players who played for the Sonics. So
Yeah. So Morgan Geeky. We don't know.
Morgan Kakai.
uh, John Quenville. We don't have high opinions of him.
Yeah,
He's
neither did the
okay.
Blackhawks, even though they had Quinville as a coach at one point.
Yeah. Jonas Donskoy.
We agree that he's probably going to be one of the top 4 performers
Yep.
statistically on that team.
Yeah. Then Gavin Bayruth.
Never
I
heard of him.
never heard of him. Then Yarn Crook. He should be top, like
Decent third or second line.
second or third line center, right? I think he's a
But
center.
statistical production probably not going to be very high.
Yeah. Nathan Bastian. Yeah, you're picking from scraps anyway.
Yeah.
That
would have been a great team for a side deal. To probably get like a 6th-round pick or something, just to like pick, like, I don't know, the garbage can next to Will Butcher's locker or something.
Jordan Eberle, he's probably like
Top 2.
top 2 on this list for forwards. Colin Blackwell,
Fringe player.
yeah. Carson Torinsky,
Fringe player.
Brandon Tanev,
Third line. He's never gonna be top 6. Probably. He's
yep.
good at being a small physical player, but he's never going to amount to statistical production.
Yep.
And as the
Alexander
game
True.
Mm-hmm.
Eh.
I
Yanni
mean,
Gord, probably best
I
player.
mean, when you're talking about San Jose, you're also talking about picking from scraps too, because they
Yeah,
invested so much in the present, and
yeah,
now they're screwed.
yeah. Yanni Gord though, top 2 player of forwards.
Yeah,
Jared McCann,
top 4.
yeah. Cole Lind, eh. Mason Appleton, also
Yeah.
eh.
All right, so let's say what we did after the draft. We did a call after the draft just to talk about what was going on. We didn't pay too much attention to the draft special because all the picks were pretty much leaked ahead of time.
Yep.
But we opened up a Sports Illustrated article and read through, short little summaries on most of the forwards who were drafted on this team. Long story short, a lot of these guys have not played long, and those who have had
Like,
a decent amount of exposure are in their prime, and they're not going to get much better.
all right. Also, like, out of all those players, it's literally Yarncrook, Eberle, Tanev, Gord,
McCann.
and McCann. Right. Those are probably the 5 better forwards you have,
Yeah.
and
And
you picked. You obviously had to pick the most forward.
yeah, and a lot of these forwards are around 24, 25 years old with under 50 games of NHL
I
experience.
think what
Which
Yarncrook and Tanev are the only like the 2 major exceptions.
yeah, but no, Tanev's 27 or 28.
29, I
Um,
thought.
but yeah, I'm talking about 24 and 25-year-old guys, like guys who should be solidified in the league by now.
Yeah.
And if you're building a team where you have like 10 forwards who are like that, or like even 6 or 7 forwards who are 24, 25 and have under 50 games of
Let
NHL
me say this though, like I don't think half these players are playing in the NHL.
which yeah, and this is getting to the point that I was trying to make, which is weird that you craft a team where you have options and intentionally choose to be this way.
Yeah. All right,
So
but
yeah,
like yeah, so this was forwards we think have a major miss for the
yeah.
Kraken, right? But
When we talked about it after the draft, we had looked at the roster. The big glaring miss is we don't know where most of the scoring comes from on this team.
right.
Like they maybe have a line and at best 2/3 of a second line that do something. The rest cannot.
Yeah, but even your best players is like a second, third line center, and then maybe your top line,
Yeah, on other
and
teams.
then one wing.
Yeah. On other teams, these guys like these best players would be like third liners,
Yeah,
fringe second
like
line.
aside from like Eberle, Donskoy, and Gord,
Right, and even with the Islanders, Everly was being used on the third line, wasn't he?
second line, I think mostly.
Yeah. So I mean,
But
they
he
don't.
he
They lack a true number one set, line.
Eberle can be a first liner. He did play first line for parts, but mostly is on the second line. I think it was
Right.
more for like matchups and stuff, but still. Anyway, what we did like about their draft though is the next section, the defense.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's go through that. So Hayden Fleury from the Ducks.
Hmm.
I think it's a good pick from what the Ducks are offering anyway.
Yeah, and I guess they're really excited because they get to play with each other, the brothers Hayden and Kale Fleur.
Yep. Yeah, and Kale Fleury is later. Jeremy Lawson from the Bruins. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that. Most of the Bruins players are kind of expensive anyway.
Yeah, especially right before the draft.
Yeah. Um,
I
Will
like the
Borgen.
price markup of fucking teams.
Yeah, Will Borgen from the Sabres. I mean, that's fine. The Sabres or
I
whatever.
mean, yeah, they're not going to need this many defensemen.
Yeah,
First of all,
but
let's
yeah,
just go through that now. They drafted more defensemen than they're ever going to use.
yeah. But then Mark Giordano from the Flames. Great. Like, he had to be left open. Great pick.
Right, but the thing is, he's past his prime. He's good as a captain. He'll be a good leader, but he's
But that's
probably got a
fine.
limited number of years of productivity left.
But that's fine,
He's not
right?
a Ginla. He's not going to be a 40-year-old star.
But that's fine because you have Alexiak from the Stars. That's a good defenseman too.
Yes, not offensively, but yes, he's fine.
Yeah.
Now giving him 4.6 million over the next 5 years,
You
not
can
so fine.
you can afford that as a friggin' new team though. It's not
Yes,
their
you can
choice.
afford that, but you don't do that. His nickname is the Big Rig.
I know.
He doesn't do offense. Rem- He did offense okay when he was in Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
but he has not done offense since.
All right. Then they picked Dennis Cholowski from the Red Wings, but the Red Wings are
Yeah, well,
anyway.
yeah, it would be a compliment for the Red Wings.
Yeah. Okay, but they get Adam Larson from the Oilers. Is fine. It's a
That yeah, more than fine. I'm sure they were
more
willing to
than
get
yes.
rid of, and I'm sure they were getting rid of all the aging pieces.
Yeah. Curtis McDermott from the Kings. That's a
Again, you're
whatever.
choosing from dumpster fires.
Yeah. Carson Sosi from the Wild. They, I mean, they weren't going to pick up the bought out players anyway. So
Mhm. Yeah.
then Cale Fleury from the Canadians. That'll be good.
hmm
And Vince Dunn from the Blues.
Yeah, that's probably another one of the
Yeah.
bigger polls.
Yeah. So their defense, they have so many good pieces to choose from, and they can still deal one or two of them and be fine.
Yeah. And they probably need to deal one or two of them because Lord knows why they drafted like 12 defensemen.
But didn't they have to draft this many?
Hold
Isn't
on a
there
sec.
like a wasn't there like you have to draft X forwards, X defensemen, X goalies?
I don't know, but they actually did. Like, I was just counting in my head. They actually did draft 12 defensemen.
I thought it was 11
And
because you.
I don't know. They're going to play 6 a night.
I think it's 11 defensemen they
Okay.
drafted.
Regardless, they're going to play 6 a night. What the fuck are they doing with 5 extra defensemen?
But I
You hold on
thought,
to maybe
but
one or two more.
if we look back at the Vegas draft, wasn't it the same way? They drafted like 10 or 11 defensemen. They had to.
Honestly, with all those side deals, I really don't know what the fuck Vegas actually drafted because they were wheeling and dealing
Yeah, they
guys
had like
within
45
13
players at the end
seconds.
of the draft.
Yeah, Vegas had half their minor league system set by the end of the draft.
Yeah.
And then whatever they didn't have, they were like, well, we have about 120 picks now. So,
And then for like but the thing is, right, defensemen they picked very well. But then let's get to goalies. So
goalies, they
Chris
picked average.
Strider,
Average, average.
Joey
Man.
Decor,
hmm
and Vitek Vanacek. That's
Okay.
the only slightly above average.
Right. Because he has one full year of being the starter, only because Lundqvist
And he
had the
played in the playoffs, right?
emergency. Yeah, they didn't have anybody else to.
Yep.
And like, I don't know, it's weird because like I get why the Florida Panthers, left Drieger unprotected. They have Spencer Knight, who was a first round pick a couple of years ago.
Yep.
They just brought him up. They have Bobrovsky on a huge deal.
Not gonna.
Even if they didn't protect him, he wasn't gonna go.
Yeah.
So yeah, this guy gets unprotected, but I feel like him and Joey Decord. Okay, first of all, with Joey Decord, what does that say about what they're fucking? They still believe in Matt Murray despite the fact that he was horrible even in Ottawa.
I
Like,
mean, to be fair, like I really think that they could have done better. There were backup goalies from so many of these other teams. Like, did you could have sacrificed one of those forwards, picked a crap forward from the Senators, and picked another goalie. Like, let's be honest.
yeah. Well, the weird thing also is Vanacek. I don't know why the Capitals didn't protect him. Who the fuck do they have in the pipeline? Maybe I just don't know
You can
the
only
hockey
protect one goalie
pipeline.
though.
So they protected somebody else. Who they protect? Lundqvist?
I don't remember, but I know like
Because Lundqvist didn't play. He's a year older. And Vanacek played the whole season as the starter.
mhm.
And then they didn't protect him.
But yeah, but you could only
Which is a
protect one
weird thing to
goalie,
do.
and they went through like 3. Didn't they have like 3 or 4 on the list?
I have no idea.
Yeah. Anyway,
But
like
he's probably the most solid of the 3 that they
he's
chose.
right now he's their de facto starter, unless they do something in the offseason.
Oh,
Because you're not going to
then they
start
could.
Drider, or Decor over Vanacek. You're
Yes,
not.
nor should you.
Yeah.
Nor should you.
Yeah. So, hopefully in our coming episodes we have the Kraken have made X and Y deal to make sure they can actually field some forwards.
Yeah, the Kraken have made a deal to realize that they were not ready for the draft.
Well, I mean, it kind of sucks that they couldn't do the the picks and stuff trades along with the draft.
Yeah. Well, it's because the NHL shut that down.
But
They didn't want that, which made no sense to me.
I
It's
made
like,
it like that's the reason I watched Vegas's, because if it was just like I turned on the draft expansion draft for 5 minutes
yeah. And yeah, partly because
and I
we
turned it
knew
off.
what happened.
But
Well,
it was
yeah.
also boring. Like I could just read it
Yeah, it
online.
was really boring.
Like having those kind of trades and stuff when they did the Vegas one made it entertaining.
Also, let's just say what it is. Ron Francis, the GM, could not have acted any more like he didn't want to be there.
There are
Like
a lot of people that didn't want to be there, dude.
all the ESPN guys were like, well, you know, Seattle, the fish here. Let's throw a bass here. Let's do this. Boy, this is fun. Ron Francis, what do you think? Or like they would try to crack a joke and like see like, well, Ron, what do you think about now you have 2 Flurries, 2 beats 1, don't you think? And then Ron Francis would just put his head down and be like, from the St. Louis Blues, we choose Vincent Dunn. Like Ron Francis was like, yeah, I get that you guys are trying to do this entertainment thing, but let's just not, because like I
I
don't want to
mean,
be here.
like,
You guys don't want to be here. Gary Payton doesn't give a shit about us.
but the thing is, like, there was no hype. Well, and part of that was because literally
Or they
everything
couldn't
got
even get Sean Kemp the actual size shirt he wears.
yeah. But
The man's a fucking legend in Seattle. He was stuffed into a fucking Kraken shirt like a fucking grape.
yeah. Anyway, so yeah, here's the team so far. Hopefully it gets better in the coming weeks.
Also, I love the fact that Sean Kemp was like, "Yeah, I've been watching hockey for a few years," and then he like was like, "I can't pronounce his name" when he had to pronounce like a. I was like,
You would
it's like verbatim. He was like, "I've been watching this game for a while. I think that like how this team's being drafted is going to fit well with the city we choose." And then he like actually said, "I don't know how to pronounce this. If I don't know if I'm doing this right."
but like
It's like
you
if you
you'd
watch the
think
game, you gotta figure this out.
you'd
Like
think that you would write down how you would pronounce some things and practice it.
you would think that anybody would have prepared basketball players for this moment because who would have thought that Marshawn Lynch and a bunch of old basketball players didn't know a shit about hockey?
Everybody.
Yeah, everybody, and yet nobody who was there fucking gave a pronunciation guide.
Yep.
Maybe the dumbest part of this.
Yep. All right. So that was the NHL. Caught up. Now let's look at the NBA.
Do we have to?
Unfortunately,
I still live in a world where they were up to nothing, man.
you still live in a world in an alternate reality where Phoenix actually beat Milwaukee.
Okay, so it's weird, and I told Sam this. I after they went up 2-0, I was like sleeping one night. Like this was the night after they went up 2-0 in the series, the Suns, and I had a dream that they lost the series.
Well,
Like, and I was
good
convinced
job.
that even though they were up 2-0, they were going to lose the series, and they did not win another game.
Good job.
After that dream.
Great prediction.
Yeah, lucky me.
Yeah.
After
but
never seeing them in the finals in my life,
as a
I have
whole,
a fucking dream that ruined it.
as a whole, I think the playoffs were pretty decent.
Well, ratings were up 35% for the finals.
Aside from the play-in
LeBron
tournament,
James,
the play-in tournament can literally just get axed.
Well,
I hated it.
Yeah, I hate it too. It's such a waste of time. The fact of the matter, or the fact that the Lakers can basically stumble into the fucking 7th seed because they get to like lose or like barely beat Golden State. Instead of being the 10th seed, they're the 7th seed then. And then they have to play the Suns. And then all of a sudden, oh, the Suns are inexperienced and the Lakers should, this is the best matchup for them. And it probably would have been, it's like, you can't, in all that is fair and balanced, you can't give the defending champs an extra door to the playoffs and be like, oh, yeah, here's your most favorable matchup. Let's tailor this experience to you.
But that's like not even it. Like, the play-in
Knicks
tournament
had to fucking do it the hard way, and they actually fucking made like the 4 or 5 seed.
But
the Knicks, they came from nowhere.
The problem is, right, like, the play-in tournament didn't do anything to the actual outcome of the playoffs. It just added unnecessary games.
Right. Like, nobody who was in those playing games, like, I'm looking at it now. Well, no. Memphis was in the playing games. They won 1 game in their series.
Lakers
won 2.
Boston won.
And Washington won.
1. Like,
so I guess it's okay to say, like, wow, these teams could, like, be competitive.
No,
but,
they
like,
can't.
not long term.
No, they can't. Like the whole tournament was useless.
There is something to say, and this is just coming to me now, about if you have playing teams that hit the ground running, they are, if they find their stride in those playing games, I guess more of a threat to the actual like 1 or 2 seeds because they had that. It's kind of like in March Madness where like a play-in game team makes like the Elite Eight or Final Four because like they've been fighting for just a little bit longer. Like ever since like the conference tournaments, they've been playing their hearts out, knowing that their life was on the line.
But still, like, it just seemed unnecessary. It ended up being unnecessary. It just delayed the playoffs. That's all I felt like it did.
Well, I mean, they make it so it technically is the playoffs, which is maybe the dumber thing.
That's why I'm saying it delayed the playoffs.
Well, also talking about the teams that made it. Because it's 7, 8, 9, 10. We're not talking about Charlotte, who got, like, bitch slapped by fucking Boston.
Yeah.
And, like,
it just delayed the playoffs. That's my opinion on it.
Also, we made it 20 of 30 teams are in the playoffs. You can't do that.
It's useless.
You have to have a cap around half. You can't put more than half your teams. Like I guess 16 is more than half, but, like, you can't put 20 teams in the playoffs.
For the NHL and the NBA, right? It was like 16 out of 30 is like, okay, it's fine, right? Because it's a number. Right. It goes to 2 very easily.
Like, for the NFL, they have 32 teams. 16 makes sense. It's half.
Yeah.
And the NFL didn't do that. Yeah. They would do 6 per conference, and now they're doing 7.
Yeah.
So
it's like, it just doesn't make sense. You expand it, so you're literally, like, teams don't have to try anymore.
Right. Which, I mean, it's weird because, like, it makes it so that teams who are potentially in sell mode trying to get draft picks are trying to buy to get anywhere near the playoffs, and is like,
but also
a team that's drafting 8th overall is in the playoffs or like playoff push, and it shouldn't be that.
Also, like, you'll have a team that's gonna be like, they're gonna be fully selling off and they'll be 10th seed. Like, that's a problem, right? they won't even need to try and like if I'm 10th seed, I'm not trying. Like you're already at the bottom. Like what you have 3 or 4
If I'm
teams
the
under
10th
you.
seed, I'm probably not fucking showing up for the goddamn game.
Exactly. So like I'm already selling off anyway.
If I'm the 10th seed, my owner probably didn't give a shit about our team enough to like invest in quality free agents. And what are we actually doing here?
Yeah. All right. Anything else we want to say about the NBA?
Not really. I just hope that the Suns will get back anywhere near here as a fan of them because I don't know. It's weird because first time in my lifetime that they made the finals because even in the Nash and Stoudemire days, they never made the finals.
Yep.
Um, it was fun while it lasted as a fan. It was fun to get back into the NBA again, having a rooting interest, but
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know, man. As long as LeBron is there,
You know,
he's
I
gonna retool at some point.
so once Milwaukee beat Brooklyn, I really didn't see them stopping. And I guess I was right. But when Phoenix went up 2-0, I was like, oh, this could be.
My thing was they looked so good in those first 2 games, and then completely went away from what they were working.
Yeah.
What worked for them was they attacked the rim. They were getting foul calls, getting to the free throw line, and then for some reason completely went away from it.
Yep.
Like the NBA isn't full of foul calls. They were like, we'll be the one team that doesn't get in the bonus. They apparently shot the least amount of free throws by any team in the finals in history.
Good for them. They made history.
Yeah, despite the fact that they shot like 40 free throws in the first game, they somehow finished last
Yep.
in the series. That's crazy.
Anyway, that's it for the NBA. Let's look at some MLB, huh?
Sure.
All right. So, big things. Uh, they are going to remove 7 inning doubleheaders and auto second base start extra innings for next season, right?
Yes, and it's a great thing unless you're a gambler. Well, the thing is that if you have like the over in a game and it's like right there, but it's tied in the at the end of the ninth, having somebody on second base fucking like almost guaranteed it because you needed only a single to get like an average runner in.
Yeah.
And it also did wonders if you bet like the away team because if it went to extra innings, that away team always like ever since they put it in this extra innings second base start thing, the away team always feels like it goes off. It's like inevitable because
Because
pitchers aren't bullpen pitchers just aren't built for like starting with a 0 out double.
right, also like it's literally a sack fly get you a run in most cases.
Well, yeah, one outside fly.
Yeah, but like you're starting with a runner on second base already. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then 7 inning doubleheaders. It was just like, why am I watching this
Well,
game?
that one I understand because, like, I don't know, as someone who has seen a doubleheader in person, if you're like, say you buy your tickets and it's like a rain delay doubleheader because, like, you buy your tickets expecting that you're gonna have a 9 inning game, and then like it gets rained out, and so your tickets are still good for
But
like that
you lose
next
2 innings.
day. Yeah, you don't get your money's worth. And you really don't get your money's worth if you're buying tickets for that day knowing it's a doubleheader
Yeah.
because like you're missing out on 4 innings and it's like
But
yeah
also like
you get more than 9 innings but you're not getting the full product.
pitching a complete game in a doubleheader infinitely easier.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Especially the back end of a doubleheader.
Well, that was the Madison Bumgarner thing.
Yeah.
They didn't call it a no hitter because he only went 7 innings.
Yeah, and then what the hell?
Well,
He
I
pitched a
mean,
complete game.
yeah, but I mean,
If you're gonna
those
if
6 outs are the hardest to get.
yeah, but the thing is, if as a league, you say that 7 inning doubleheaders are complete games. It's also no hitters.
Yeah, but in
Like no,
in
just by principle, not by like same similarity. It definitely, I agree, does not equal a 9 inning like.
well, I wasn't even gonna say that. I was gonna say if you're gonna say that basically anything that you can call it a complete game is, then a game that gets rained out as like a final in the
No, but
fifth
I'm
inning.
saying that the rules have stopped the game at 7 innings. I'm not saying a rain delay has stopped it after 6 or
No,
five and a
no,
half.
I'm saying that like some games go final after 5 innings.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's usually due to extenuating circumstances, like
Right.
rain or something. I'm saying that there is something in the rules that stops this game at 7 innings. So why can't you give him a no hitter? Right? It's not
Guess.
rain or thunder or a snow out or power just disappearing or whatever unexpected circumstance that makes the game artificially end.
I think it depends on the number of pitches. Like if Bumgarner is above like 120 pitches in the seventh inning, I'm all for it because his arm is definitely tired by then. If someone's like at 85 pitches in the seventh inning,
They've done their job correctly if they're at 85 pitches in the 7th inning.
right? But if they're like, if it's that easy for them,
That's not
I
their
don't.
fault. Like, my point is that the MLB rules have now stopped the game. Nothing but that. So you put an asterisk next to it, I don't care, but it's still a no hitter because it's not extenuating circumstances stopping the game like a rain out or whatever else.
Fair enough. All right, moving on.
Moving on is the Olympics, which have started today.
Yes. Did
Um,
you watch the opening ceremony?
no,
I didn't because I was at work.
I was working.
Yeah, same. All right. Yeah. So there's no fans for this Olympics. Apparently, we can go this far into a pandemic and then things finally get worse. Who
I
would have
mean,
thought that
that
it
was
was going to get
expected,
worse?
though, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. The dumbest thing was people thinking that it was over.
The last pandemic we had took 3 years. We're what, a year and a half in?
Yeah, and like medical technology is so much better now, but like
Doesn't matter.
it's all experimental.
Yeah, doesn't
It's
matter.
all experimental right now.
Yep.
And then in terms of the USA basketball, which has been an absolute train wreck,
Yep.
losing two exhibition games, they won their third.
Finally.
And then out of quote precautions, they shut down the other exhibition games before flying over to Japan, which is weird because they didn't shut down the women's exhibition games.
It's the outbreak's been in the men's side anyway, right?
Yes, Zach Levine was okay. Like they thought he was gonna be out, but got negative tests. Kevin Love opted out.
No, that's his
Which was
choice.
weird because yeah, well, it this was Kevin Love's probably like last hurrah at being like the all-star player he once was.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And he just flat out left out of his own volition.
That's fine.
Yeah. The problem is the replacements suck.
Yeah, JaVale McGee and
I
Keldon
mean, JaVale
Johnson.
McGee. The problem with the U.S. team was they did need size
Yes.
because Bam Adebayo is a 6'9" center,
Mm-hmm.
and as talented and skilled as the U.S. team is, you do need size because that's what other countries have.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not the most talented size, but they have size. So JaVale McGee does bring size, whereas so many dominant centers now are international, like Jokic. Even Aiton is from the Bahamas. Embiid is from Cameroon.
Yep.
So it's a limited pool, but I don't know. JaVale McGee feels like he'll be fine, but probably not worthy of being an Olympian. Keldon Johnson is like a guy who, because Popovich is coaching Team USA,
Yeah.
and Keldon Johnson's on the Spurs.
Yeah.
So he was on the select team, which is like the backup team. Um, and so they just plucked him off. And then Jeremy Grant, who had a good year at Detroit, is not. I don't believe he's going. I think he got replaced. Bradley Beal, I think, got replaced
Yeah, both of
too.
them, because they both are officially in protocols, which means they should have gotten a positive test.
Which I have no idea what that means, if they're ever going to be able to fly back over there and just finish it up.
I don't
Because
think
that,
the Olympic Committee should let you fly in late.
yeah, it's weird because no, Team USA basketball had, from the Bucks and Suns series, Holiday, Middleton, and Booker. All three flew straight to Japan
Yeah,
after the finals.
yeah,
They
but
didn't fly with the team.
like the thing just started today, so they still made it.
I mean, but in terms of like testing and quarantining and stuff like that, you would have thought that they would have gotten those guys to the Olympic Village a few days before,
Yeah,
like as a mandatory deadline.
yeah, I guess.
So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. It's an interesting time. Thank God we have the Olympics for 2 weeks before preseason football, because if I had to deal with just baseball for the next month, I'd probably jump off of a patio.
Because yeah, the Pirates. How about them?
Hey, I was at the game where they hit the walk-off grand slam against the Mets.
Oh, yeah. My
That
parents
was
don't want to hear
wild.
about it.
That game was wild. The whole left field like deck was all Mets fans, like all blue shirts.
That's what I expect at a
They're
Pirates
all
game.
part of some club. No, they were all part of some club. They all had the same shirt on. It
Oh,
was like the seventh line pit line or something.
okay.
I have no idea how many people were in that club, but it was well over 300.
All right.
And
Yeah,
they did not join in the wave.
yeah. Anything else we want to say?
Nah, I'm good. Hopefully we'll get back into a swing of things here.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, and catch you next time.